The wisdom in spiritual teachings is a requisite to maintaining a spiritual posture. Healing will involve a clearing of the energy bodies, a restoration to health by healing damage to the energy bodies, and learning to be consciously more responsible in the use of our energy bodies. Through this, we can more readily manifest our inherent spiritual potential. Pattern energies of thought and emotions develop from our personal experiences. They can exist as structural energy forms in those corresponding energy bodies. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. The focus of this episode is on the human energy field and the Biospiritual Continuum, something I realized after going over my episodes I have not talked about in enough detail. I have a previous episode I did called The Aura and the Etheric Body, where I began to address some of these different ideas. But I have found in my studies, particularly with the occult and in manifestation, that a full understanding of the energy body is very helpful in understanding the mechanism of reality creation and your own energy and your ascension. We talk a lot about chakras, and I'd set down to really do an in-depth discussion of what chakras really do and what they are, and I realized that a big part of this is understanding the human energy body as well as the field of energy and the biospiritual continuum. There's a lot to know, and there's a lot of literature on this subject, and it takes some experience, experimentation, and contact with the Akashic to really fully understand. But once you do, you start to understand who you are, what your soul is, your higher self, and the way that reality is formed around you. Now, in a physical sense, it is easy to appreciate that you have a body. It is made up of many physical parts. You have a heart and blood vessels, for example. These elements have a unique structure and function. There are many organs and systems that coexist in the human body and work synergistically. For example, when you breathe, the function of air exchange is performed in the lungs by the respiratory system. However, the blood in the circulatory system must get oxygenated and remove carbon dioxide. To achieve this, the blood is pumped by the heart through blood vessels into the lungs where the exchange takes place. This anatomy and physiology is well known in modern medicine. However, in addition to the recognized systems-based understanding of the human body, there are also fields or bodies of energy. These are an integral part of who we are as a human being. Most people do not see them because they do not exist within the average range of perception, but they are very real. The etheric body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual bodies of the higher energetic coordination are all part of the invisible system of energy. They coexist within and around the physical body in an alternate dimension or perceptual space, and it took me a long time to understand this. But once I did, the light bulb went on, and it will go on for you as well. These coexist within and around the physical body in an alternate dimension or perceptual space. Each one of these bodies is derived from a field of like energy. The etheric body is made of structural etheric energy. The emotional body is made up of fluid emotional quality energy. The mental body is made up of mental structural energy. The thoughts and feelings that we experience as humans actually exist in these energy bodies. Some people actually do have the capacity to see these bodies of energy. For those who have seen them, they take the essential shape of the human form, but each layer or field looks unique. Collectively, they overlap in space and interface with each other as well as the human body and human nervous system. A great deal of our human experience is lived through these energy bodies. We relate to life emotionally and mentally just as we do physically. I want to focus our attention on these energy bodies because they will help conceptualize how healing occurs, manifestation works, and energy flows. My goal is to become aware of their function and how they function well, and to become aware how they become imbalanced or contribute to diseased conditions. Ultimately, we are in charge of how we use these bodies. Learning to be responsible in this way is the foundation of a great deal of basic spiritual teaching. This reason this is so important is that consciousness governs energy. In energy medicine, we can experience direct energetic healing of these bodies. This can occur through clearing and restructuring our energy fields by a variety of energy processes and consciousness practices. When you fully understand this and you're trying to heal somebody, it's not the physical that may need to be healed, it may be one of these bodies. Understanding this is a groundbreaking discovery. Such efforts to help heal the body and personality through larger bioenergetic spiritual continuum of which we are comprised. It becomes important to grasp that every person has a conscious overlighting aspect within his or her being. We can call this the higher self. It is not only spiritual people who have a spiritual nature. Spiritually conscious people may be more aware of this and in greater communication with their internal spiritual self. However, a higher self is part of everyone's core nature, whether they accept it or not. The higher self animates the soul. It is the whole knowing aspect of consciousness that is more fully aware of our soul's full spectrum. There exist different perspectives people may have about our spiritual nature. First, some people view life through the belief that they are simply a body, or perhaps a body plus the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs they experience. Life is limited to a tangible, physical, and psychological experience. Secondly, some people believe in a spiritual level of existence, but they are not aware of their direct liaison with this level of reality. A spiritual reality is perceived as existing outside of them. Finally, some people are aware of their inherent spiritual nature. They are aware of their own internal divine aspect and understand that spirit exists within them. For these people, ideally, life is a process of manifesting a deeper spiritual nature in the world of forms. Life involves learning to communicate with the inherent self, to listen to it, to speak with it, and to progressively allow its guidance and healing influence into one's life. In these three groups, one group is not really better or worse than another. They simply correlate with states of consciousness. There is a purpose to where each person is in the spectrum of consciousness. Such groupings do not define how spiritual one is. They define how consciously aware one is of one's spiritual nature. Most people are drawn to learn about energy healing, are aware, or in the process of becoming more aware of their inherent spiritual nature. It is this inner awakening which draws a person toward the experience of discovering such things. Individually, our higher self has a greater understanding of our current life than we do as quasi-conscious human beings. The higher self understands our history, our whole soul's journey, our lessons, our relationships to other people, our karma, our potential, and our purpose in life. The higher self serves as a personal guardian, our greatest force of healing, and a wise spiritual teacher. It is an ally, but it remains somewhat silent until we make a conscious gesture or intention to allow its direct and conscious guidance into our lives. When people go through a spiritual awakening, they usually have an experience that has brought them closer in awareness to spiritual reality. As one awakens spiritually, one develops a close communion with this inherent spiritual element. To learn to communicate spiritually, one needs to learn to communicate in a new way. Our spiritual nature does not lecture or give direct counseling sessions. Spirit will guide primarily through direct knowing, intuition, and synchronicity. Occasionally, Spirit speaks to us through altered states of consciousness. Spirit can also heal by direct transfer of energy and consciousness. When the higher self works to help us heal, it will often involve healing of mental and emotional attributes. This includes programs and injuries that are embedded in the mental, emotional, and etheric bodies. It will guide us in a wise and loving way toward wellness and healing. Importantly, our higher self will not impose itself upon us in our human experience. It will work with us in a conscious relationship if we so choose, but this experience must align with our personal intention. If we are open to developing this relationship, we can learn to communicate intuitively through forms of guidance, through synchronistic creation, and through direct energy transfer. As we open spiritually, we each undergo a process of transformative healing. Much of the early work of healing is helping to clear and align the lower energy bodies. This means the mental, emotional, and etheric bodies. These bodies carry memory and influential energy from many soul experiences, as well as through genetic expression. This is sometimes referred to as Akashic memory. However, clearing and recalibrating these bodies is only one big step. We must learn to live in a higher state of consciousness and produce greater personal balance. We learn to take on a greater level of self-responsibility and to manage our energy bodies with greater consciousness. This is where ego integrates. Many spiritual teachings come into perspective. For example, there are energetic reasons we're instructed to be kind, forgiving, loving, and peaceful. They are part of Energy Management 101. One comes to understand that the wisdom in spiritual teachings is a requisite to maintaining a spiritual posture. The higher self understands love and wisdom as the nature of life. It is not entangled in duality the way we can be. Now, the aura is a field of energy radiation around the human being. Just as a light bulb radiates energy as light, human beings also radiate energy as aura. The source of this is the source of universal life as it flows through our higher self and our various energy bodies. Both the health and vibrancy of one's energy bodies and the energetic state within a person's energy body at a point in time will qualify this luminous energy. The energy is visible to human beings who have clairvoyant abilities. People sometimes think the aura is one color. It will actually change in color with changing experiences in the energy bodies. For example, it will change when we are angry or when we are in joy. It will change when we are deep in thought or deep in a meditative experience. So let's do an exercise to see the aura. To do this, find a comfortable setting in a darkened room. You may allow a little light through a closed curtain or night light. If possible, have a dark backdrop in front of you, such as a dark wall, sheet, or towel. This helps provide the best condition in which first to see the aura. First of all, turn off the lights and get comfortable, sitting a few feet away from the dark screen. Secondly, hold your right hand about a foot out in front of you with the palm facing you. Looking gently at your hand, simply gaze at the hand in a relaxed fashion. Let your focus relax so that it is viewing the whole space at once. Now, fourth, the aura will begin to appear as a haze or filament of light, particularly around the fingertips or around the palm. Relax and allow the energy to appear to you. Now, slowly bring up your left hand to join the right hand. Hold the hands together so that the fingertips of each hand are pointing to the opposite hand, with both palms toward your face. Bring the tips toward each other until they are very close but not touching. Relax your gaze and again let the energy appear. Play with the energy as you pull your fingertips back and forth. Do you see it? Do you feel it? The energy bodies include the physical, etheric, the emotional, and the mental bodies. We are all familiar with our ability to physically see, touch, feel, smell, and taste, and we are aware that we sentiently feel and have emotions. We are aware of our ability to think and hold beliefs. Although we tend to think these are functions of the brain, these are functional abilities that exist due to the presence of specific energy bodies that are part of the human design. These bodies commingle in a space with the physical body. When there is activity in any of the energy bodies, it can create measurable changes in the physical human body and physiology. For example, if you're feeling joyful or angry, it will lead to direct physical and physiological changes in the physical body. However, the actual emotional experience is occurring in an energy body, a field of energy that is distinct to its own nature, in this case, the emotional body. The changes are registered in the human body through an interface of the energy body with the physical body and human nervous system. As changes occur in these energy fields, the nervous system picks them up or registers them. the nervous system functions like a Wi-Fi receptor and responds accordingly. From a spiritual perspective, these bodies may be thought of as the reason or mechanism by which one soul can experience life in the world of form. We can view our ability to think and feel as essential abilities that we have in order to exist as human beings. They are functional capacities that may be used by one soul. They are also inherently creative in function. For example, we use them to be able to bring our spiritual intentions into the world of form through creative thought, emotional power, and etheric construction. If our thoughts and feelings are aligned with a balanced, peaceful, joy-filled state, and we are aligned with our spiritual essence, life can be seen to emanate from our spirit. People define this as presence or being in the now moment. If this is not the case, we will find ourselves experiencing a whole array of things, and some of them extremely painful or oriented toward great suffering. These ultimately become the stimuli that orient us toward healing. Our mental and emotional bodies are often not so pure, and the world around us is not always conducive to or supportive of utopian happiness. And there are many reasons for this. This is due in part to the energy patterning in the very bodies we are about to discuss, and the way we use our thinking and feeling nature as human beings. Healing will involve a clearing of the energy bodies, a restoration to health by healing damage to the energy bodies, and learning to be consciously more responsible in the use of our energy bodies. Through this, we can more readily manifest our inherent spiritual potential. As our energy bodies are healed and restored, the peace, joy, and love that is inherent in our unobstructed, free-flowing energy systems are gradually realized. Our energy bodies can hold patterning and memory. The energy we hold in our mental and emotional bodies from prior experiences and from wounds affect us greatly. Although it may be subconscious, this may influence the way we think and the way we feel minute by minute, day by day. This can have a huge bearing on the quality of life that we lead. Pattern energies of thought and emotions develop from our personal experiences. They can exist as structural energy forms in those corresponding energy bodies. We all have mental patterns and emotional patterns that can become so entrenched in our energy bodies that they add a constant, pervasive influence in our lives. In fact, they can become so entrenched that we think of them as who we are and the way we are made. They are integrated into our personality and can seem impossible to change. It is often stated as an axiom that the spiritual healing is remembering who you are or your true nature. These statements actually relate to an understanding of the energy bodies. The patterns entrenched in the bodies can get in the way of our perception of who we are, spiritually speaking. Remembering who you are is a process of learning to see through these entrenched patterns. Wise beings declare such lofty things as, "You are love." They are referring to the truth of your essential nature. The energy bodies coexist and influence each other. If we have heavy emotional energies clinging to us, it greatly affects the way we think and the way we feel physically in our bodies. Equally, the thoughts we hold affect the way we feel emotionally and our physical posture. The way the energy of the bodies sum up creates an energy signature, and this energy signature is a creative force. It is like a magnetic posture that draws experience to us as human beings. In many ways, life is a reflection or mirroring of our personal energy signature of these bodies. Consciousness growth is important because it will teach us to relate to our personal, emotional, and mental nature in a wise, compassionate, and nurturing way. When we begin to understand that our true nature is spiritual, we better understand how we can bring healing into the mental, emotional elements that came interference in our lives. Some of these patterns arise from experience, that is, memories and patterns that have formed in us from historical events. The first energy body is actually the human physical body, and this is because everything is energy. Elements that make up the particulate physical body are energy-based and subject to energetic influences. If we appreciate this, we grasp how diseased tissues within the body can be lifted vibrationally to help them heal. It also helps us to realize how structural and functional diseases, which we think of as immutable, are subject to potential healing energetic influences. In our modern world, we're aware that many diseases can be reversed or healed, even diseases we tend to think of as fatal, terminal, or fixed. When the unexplained reversal of a disease occurs, The phenomenon is referred to as a spontaneous healing or remission. Spontaneous remission may be defined as a disease that is healed without any medical intervention. So it is valuable to recognize the physical body as an energy body. The physical body is ultimately the anchor of our spirit in this world of form. It pins our whole biospiritual continuum on the planet. It can transform and heal in magnificent ways when we open our minds. Beyond the physical body, the energy bodies become a bit more nebulous. These energy bodies, which many of you still don't believe in, even though I'm teaching about it, some people probably will skip this episode because they think it's boring, but it's fundamentally important. You might be saying, well, if the energy bodies exist, why haven't scientists found them? It's important to understand that these energy bodies exist outside of the normal sensory spectrum. Clairvoyants shift into this vision and use it to work visibly on the energy system. Those with exceptional abilities have mapped the fields based on visual experience. One such immensely gifted healer is Dr. Barbara Brennan. Brennan was a scientist at NASA, and through her personal awakening experiences, she developed tremendous insight into the human energy field. The etheric body is the first level of pure energy we encounter. The living field of energy is a structural and functional energy template which mirrors the human body. If you were to see it without the physical body attached to it, it is a translucent blue human-shaped form of energy, composed of filamentous lines of energy. Within the etheric field are light-based patterns of energy corresponding to the physical structure as well as energy channels that relay information. These include meridians and a complex system of smaller channels referred to as nadis. Ancient Eastern systems of medicine were based on knowledge provided by wise healers who had sensitivity and awareness of this component of the human body. There is a phenomenal collection of wisdom about the etheric body that has been preserved throughout the ages. Direct treatment of etheric energy is still used today in Ayurveda and Chinese medicine therapies. One of the most familiar applications of etheric energy treatment in the Western world is acupuncture. You can think of the etheric body as the structural energy blueprint of the body. It forms the energy field upon which the physical body is built and then sustained. If for any reason there is a defect, weakness, or devitalization of the etheric body, the outpictured physical body cannot be completely healthy. Energy can be fed into this etheric body through many mechanisms. One is by eating food. Living things such as fruits, vegetables, meat, and grains all have an etheric energy within them. So when we consume food, we are not simply ingesting vitamins, minerals, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates that make up the nutritional quality of the food. We are also consuming the etheric energy of the food. And some foods have more etheric energy than others. Some people say the raw diet is so effective because you're getting the etheric energy before it's fully been modified by cooking. That is up for debate. The structural components of food can be recycled into digestive elements to feed our physical body. However, on an etheric level, the energy of the food is also released into our etheric energy body to sustain health and energetic structure. This can also have medicinal applications, for the energy of certain plants and herbs can have a strong and specific etheric healing resonance. Energy can also be fed into the etheric body from universal or multidimensional energy forces. Many people today have heard of such terms as universal life force, energy, chi, ki, prana, among others. This higher spiritual energy can step down in vibration and flow into the etheric body. Embedded within the etheric body are major and minor nexus points where various channels of energy cross and where multiple layers of energy fields can interface. Large hubs of circuits are commonly referred to as chakras. Major and minor chakras exist throughout the energy field. All the energy bodies communicate through the embedded chakras, including the etheric body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the higher energy bodies. Chakras function like transducers to channel energy between various bodies and also between spiritual energy dimensions and the physical level. The life force energy flowing through the etheric body sustains life in the overlying physical body and organs. It also interfaces with the human nervous system and autonomic nerve plexuses that align with the human spine. Through this interface, there is the communication between the etheric and physical elements of the human body. Practices such as Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, and pranayama exercises use these principles to open, clear, and charge the etheric system in the body with energy, using consciousness, movement, and breath. In doing so, it strengthens and improves communication between the etheric body and the physical body, as well as its vibrancy and health. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then experience is worth 10,000. So try this exercise to charge the etheric body so you can feel your own etheric energy. First of all, sit comfortably in a chair on the floor. Bring your hands comfortably together, palms up on your lap. Take a moment to center and simply observe your state of being. Let thoughts come and go in a detached way. Just relax. Bring focus to your breathing. Inhale gently through your nose and fill your chest with air, and do not force your breathing excessively. Just breathe deeply but comfortably. Now slowly release the breath through your nose and pause for several seconds. Continue breathing each time, filling your chest and gently breathing a little deeper. Begin to loosen your belly and let it expand with your breathing. Continue breathing until you find that you're able to fill your lungs with air and your body with energy. The air is carrying prana, which is charging your etheric body. Feel it in your belly. Now, I recommend you continue breathing like this for 3 to 5 minutes in this fashion. You can pause it now and just try this. Now, bring your awareness or attention to your whole body. How does it feel? Are there specific areas that feel alive or energized? Areas that feel numb, tight areas? You may notice that you feel invigorated, warm, or cool. You may notice a tingling. You may feel flashes of energy. You might notice areas in your body that have popped or pulled during the breathing exercise or shortly thereafter. You may also notice that breathing at certain points in the exercise is difficult. Record this. If there is an area of your body that feels restricted, continue the exercise for 3 to 5 minutes more and gently breathe energy into the area. Don't force it too hard, just keep breathing. Now lie down and relax. Let the energy which has accumulated in your etheric body work for your well-being. Now pay attention to what you just experienced personally. These simple exercises will sensitize you to your energy bodies. You are forging a relationship with your own energy field. The energy body we encounter next is the emotional body. The emotional body is more fluid in its quality. It appears like a liquid or vaporous energy. Energy in the emotional body vibrates in resonance to the emotional experiences. In a simplified way, emotional energy both flavors experience and energizes creation in our life. Emotional energy fuels creation through passionate feeling. When you feel strongly about something, you energize it. In a clear, uplifted emotional state, the vibratory quality of the emotional body is high. We feel buoyant. In such a state, the emotional body is luminous, full of spectral colors. However, the emotional body for most people is not always buoyant. Now, the emotional body has a role in sensory function. The emotional body plays a role through our emotional body, and its innately sensitive nature, we are able to sense and feel a non-logical level of perception. So when people say, I'm feeling it out, I've got a hunch, I can feel it, they're feeling into their energy body in that particular way, into the emotional body. Understand the emotional body is neutral. The energy that arises in our emotional body will be resonant on a certain level or quality of vibration. It can be of high or low vibration. So think of the last time you were joyful. If you allow yourself to experience not simply the memory, but also the emotional experience, you begin to feel the energy of the memory. I encourage you to pause and do this with personal example. Don't just remember a wonderful experience, but enter into the emotional state as well. It's important to understand that our emotional body is a real field of energy. We're able to conceptualize how our emotional nature functions. We also become more aware of how emotional patterns and wounds may impact the functioning of the emotional body. These are important things to understand. If one becomes enraged, imagine the impact of this state will have on your overall energy signature. The anger may be understandable when we examine the details of what it has produced. Also, suppressing and repressing emotions can specifically dampen emotional energy and affect the way the energy body works. So when we say you're holding emotions in your body, you're holding them in your emotional body, and it can then transfer into the energy body, then into the physical body. When you repress emotions, when you hold on to emotions, when they're not regulated, when you don't express them properly, all of this can cause health problems and can affect the proper functioning and flow of the energy in your body. And emotional mastery and intelligence can help you in balancing your emotional body. So when you find that harmony, it's important because it will also affect your energy body and your etheric body. The final body, which may be the most important, but they're all important in the same way, is the mental body. In a bigger understanding of our human nature, we exist not simply through thought, but rather through consciousness, forming and analyzing thoughts, creating beliefs, and all mental capacities that we have are functions of consciousness. As a function of consciousness, they occur through energy bodies. Simply put, thinking is an ability we have as conscious beings. The capacity to form or hold beliefs is a function of the mental body. The energy within the mental body can be used to build, crystallize, and hold certain thought forms as structural energy patterns. The mental body holds a structural shape similar to the human body. It appears in a healthy state as a yellowish gold color in vibration. The energy of the mental body can be visualized as a crystalline energy. It registers, molds, and shapes energy into form. A thought form once created can be further energized by applied focused concentration. This is essentially what happens when we focus on a thought. Focusing on certain thoughts in the mental fields can create and magnify the energy in a corresponding energy form. The stronger these thought forms are, the more powerful they are resonating in our energy field. Thoughts create your reality is a popular idea I talk about on the channel all the time. Our thoughts are particularly deeply embedded thought forms can strongly influence what we encounter in our manifested reality. The energy that we structure into our mental body contributes to the overall energy signatures we hold. Thoughts are only one contributing factor in this signature. This signature has a magnetic quality. Thoughts once crystallized function like creative seeds. Just as the seed of a tree once planted slowly and systematically magnetizes the many structural elements it needs to grow into a full-scale tree, thoughts draw on the energy they need around them to grow and to manifest reality. This can lead to the manifestation of form, as well as creative experiences in the physical world. One can begin to appreciate the creative mechanism behind statements such as, "You create your own reality," which I say repeatedly. Once we begin to understand vibratory creation, we can also appreciate the value of learning to use our thoughts and our mental capacity with greater consciousness. We can plant life-affirming thoughts and weed out some of the pre-existing vegetation growing in our mind field. You can change thought forms held in your mental field. We are not as rigidly or fixed as we once believed. You can become aware of the existence of thoughts you hold on to and become aware of the limitations they impose or the destructive experiences they are attracting, and they can be transformed. Equally, you can also seed effective life-affirming thoughts into your mental body, and it begins to attract different thoughts into your world. Thoughts can arise in our conscious awareness because they are already held in our mental body and are triggered. This is useful to grasp because we all carry thought forms and beliefs within us that are subconscious in nature. Our awareness of them becomes important when we are faced with particular psychological issues or challenges. Thoughts can arise from the higher mind function of the higher self and our universal connection. This too becomes important in looking at healing and transformation. Some thought forms we encounter are fleeting. They pass through the mental field and are dissipated quickly. For example, you notice a beautiful warm sunshine and a gentle breeze as you step out of your house. You may create the thought, "What a beautiful day." The thought arises and passes quickly. Other thoughts are held in a more enduring form. For example, when asked, "Who are you?" you're likely to say statements like, "I am a mother, a lawyer, an adult, a Japanese American," or something akin. These thoughts have a more structured presence in the mental body. This helps us conceptualize how we develop strongly structured personal thought forms, memories, and ingrained belief systems. In examining the mental field of energy, well-developed thoughts can create certain posturing or overlaying programming that may strongly influence our life. This will include the core beliefs that each of us holds as human beings. Thought forms held in the mental field can be activated when consciousness is focused upon them. Our mental field, like our emotional field, is neutral. It is not particularly concerned about the content or activity. It simply molds itself to the thought energy to which it is exposed or consciously engaged in. These are the energy bodies, and this is the Biospiritual Continuum. All of them exist together, working together, communicating together. So when we discuss the chakras in a future episode, we must have this understanding of the energy bodies and how they work. There's much more that we can discuss on this, but there are higher energy bodies also. These bodies are in an energetic relationship with higher bodies. They represent higher vibratory fields of energy that have an influence on the mental, emotional, and etheric fields. These layers have been outlined in other writings, so I will introduce them here. I would refer to the work of Dr. Barbara Brennan if you're interested in learning about them. In Dr. Brennan's work, the next 4 levels include the astral level, the etheric template body, the celestial body, and the etheric template. The astral level is similar to the emotional body in quality, but on a heart-connected level, it is like a spiritualized or higher vibratory emotional body. The etheric template level is the 5th level, and it is like an inverse template of the etheric body. Dr. Brennan describes it as more of a negative space body which holds the frame for the etheric level to exist. It can hold traumatic patterning and is influenced by your soul's design and purpose for this incarnation. The celestial body may also be thought of as a spiritual sensory body, again fluid in quality and larger in field. The field bridges awareness of the sentient interconnectedness of life and higher spiritual emotions. The etheric template or causal body is the mental spiritual body. It is structured as a golden grid of light and forms the framework for our earthly existence. It bridges our reality to our spiritual origins, and it transduces higher energy of spiritual dimensions to nourish our life and existence. These are the higher levels of energy, which form part of the human spectrum, creating a bridge of energy with our higher self through our quantum or spiritual DNA. There's so much more that we could talk about, but this is a good introduction in understanding the human energy field and the biospiritual continuum. When you understand that you are not just your physical body, there are energy bodies involved, and there are specific ones. When you break that down and understand you have the physical body, the emotional body, you also have the mental body and the etheric body, you have a greater understanding of how your energy works. These fields particularly interact with reality itself and are outside of your physical body and can interact with the environment around you. They can interact with other people, and you're interacting with their fields as well. When you understand this, I also recommend that you check out my episode on morphic fields. This is a more comprehensive understanding of the morphic field with specific distinctions of the energy bodies that you coexist within. So I suggest that you try these exercises and contemplate in meditation, in the mirror, on a regular basis, these energy bodies, and get a greater understanding of who you truly are, which is not just this physical body that you're walking around in. When you can fully comprehend yourself as something greater, a field of energy, then you truly understand who you are. So I would also recommend my episode, You Are a Field, which will fully outline what it means to be a field more than just a body. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.